All right. Now let's go for flight back out to everybody tomorrow. So the SOS for the shout out show. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you can hear me now. Sorry about that. I had some technical stuff I was going to work on. I hope everybody's having a very blessed Wednesday, as Wednesdays will go. I want to give a special shout out to my third mom. I call her my third mom, Sister Fitch Muhammad. If you get a chance and you're in the DC area, please go visit her at George Washington Hospital. She's a pillar in our community. She has been a soldier, a long-standing soldier for getting things done and helping to progress the mission and the nature of this specific community as well as other communities. A long-time collaborator for a lot of things I've done, but just one of my hearts. So I'll leave it at that. Sister Fitch Muhammad is one of my hearts. So make sure you make the walk for her. If you can't get past George Washington Hospital, go ahead and see her and just make the walk for her. You know what she's going through is difficult, but and she says, you know, she's a believer, and I'm a believer in the fact that she's a believer, and I believe whatever that Allah is putting her through is for a reason, and she will come out on the other end better. So that's what we have to do. I want to give a salutation, but it's not positive. This last Monday was Martin Luther King Day. A day we celebrate our civil rights hero, slain in the effort to improve the human condition, particularly that of African Americans. I want to give a slap in the face to Nike and LeBron James, who came up with this weird idea to commemorate a shoe on the commemoration of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Somebody thought it'd be an idea and make the colorways the same colorways as the sign at the Lorraine Hotel where he was assassinated. I don't know what that process is. I don't know why people think that's okay. There's always been a deep fear of commercialization of Dr. King's holiday, and I feel violated in some regards because many of us trust LeBron James and some of the good things he's done, his academy and his philanthropy, and I just don't understand why you would even try to bring out a pair of shoes on now. And in fairness, some people said this was to celebrate the 50 or 55 points he scored against Memphis. I don't buy it. Okay, let's just go there. I don't buy it. You don't release a shoe on Martin Luther King Day and say that this is, that this is all right, that this makes sense. There have been other things, strip clubs trying to have Martin Luther King specials and things like that. There was a very serious episode that happened on the Boondocks, which was funny, but at the same time revealing in the context of how we see our civil rights leaders. And I think it's even more important because we don't have civil rights leaders that we can hang our hats on anymore. We don't have legendary civil rights leaders. I don't know who the current president of the NAACP is, and just the idea that we're still calling, the NAACP speaks volumes. Do we evolve or do we hold steady to a particular formula that's gotten to this point? No, I'm not discrediting them, but I'm just saying, these are the things that are, they're on my mind. They do bother me. So let me break down our schedule today. Shout out to Sister Satana. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. She will not be able to join us today. She is getting revved up for a ResCon, Brazilians Con in Houston, Texas, this coming Friday next week Friday. Next week Friday through Sunday. We're gonna have 50 speakers at Resilience Con. A number of the imams are going to be coming in. African American imams are going to come in. They're going to be doing khutbahs throughout the city of Houston. I know it's going to be at least 30, 35 imams are going to be taking a part of this. And of course, we have panels and things like that that also be going on. This is the brainchild of the WD Muhammad community in Houston, as led by Imam Dr. Wazir Ali. So, just some things that we should be thinking about. Our topic today, it says there are no black people in Greenland. I'm going to explain what that means, but I'm going to try and take it uh, strategically. I don't want to overwhelm the viewer or the listener in this case. And the reason I don't want to do it are two reasons. Number one, because that's the strategy. The strategy today is that I overload you with information. And if I'm clever, I overload you with value less information. Information that connects you to other information that connects you to other information that doesn't connect at all. That's number one. Number two, this is the art of distraction. We're living the age of distraction, whereby I can take you off your game by giving you things to scroll, and you can think you're there for 5 minutes, you're there for 5 hours. It happens. I've been caught up in the same trap, reading things on news feeds that feed into other things, that feed into other things. I mean, I'm a journalist, I should know better. I'm always trying to find different information, and for my personal, my personal use, as well as things I use on stage, things I use for the shadow show as well. So I want to explain to you what there are no people in Greenland means. It means there's no intention. And we say intention, we're talking about is it good intention, bad intention, well meaning, or mean spirited intention. There's no well intention for black people. There's no well intention for brown people. There's no well intention for poor people. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. The idea of a president saying, just give me a country is absurd. Okay? It's absurd. We live in a place where we're constantly shown that the democracy that we've been sworn to hell, that people have changed their lives for this democracy, they've lost their lives for this democracy. You're finding that it's just a piece of paper. That, in the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you're going to have to learn to do for self. And that do for self is a very big category, because it requires that you recalibrate your brain. You restructure the way that you think. Now, the one thing about the Nation of Islam that a lot of people didn't like was the language. They said, in a very implicit and pure way, said, the system will let you down only by virtue of the fact that this system has continued to let you down. That you can't hang your hat on something that's not there. You can't hang your hat on something that's a fable, right? If you hang your hat on something, there's a hook there, right? There's no hook. There's no stand. There's no chair. You might as well just throw it on the ground. And that is the status of democracy. The magic, if you will, the trickery, if you will, is that we keep creating new narratives. So the whole thing about going to Greenland, I know that this whole thing about Greenland is ridiculous. Why? Because there's no black people in Greenland. What does that mean also, preach? It means there's no resistance. That a bully picks on people that they believe they can bully. That a bully finds, finds congealed effort and consensus, not by the fact that he can bully everyone around him. It's just the fact he can convince everyone around him that he's the biggest bully in the room, or she's the biggest bully in the room. So we've moved from cancel culture to bully culture. Now everybody knows. When we start talking about bully culture, I mean, there's always somebody that's going to be bigger, stronger, faster, quicker hands, a little bit more mean than that one bully, a little bit more deranged than this one bully. And so that space is going to run out. And we're beginning to get to it now. So I'm gonna get the show started, set up, come back. Don't even leave here, brothers and sisters. So I'm gonna try and give you an electrifying 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes, and I'm gonna get you out of here, because I think this is something we need to talk about, because I have seen this happen before, but not at this level. When I say not at this level, it means that there are people who are self-deluding. There are people who have tricked their minds into thinking that this is the best way. We talk about the emperor's clothes. This is our emperor has no clothes, but everybody's thinking that he has on a three-piece suit or a Louis Vuitton tuxedo. The man is butt naked. He comes to us butt naked every time, and we put clothes on him because that's the thing that makes us comfortable. Think about it. If a fat orange white man came up to you butt naked, you would feel uncomfortable. However, if he had on a suit, he had on a USA flag lapel pin, you might feel comfortable. So what he does is say, listen, I know you're uncomfortable with me being butt naked in orange. So I'm gonna give you everything in that I'm gonna give you everything that I can give you up to the point of me and butt naked. That's what it comes down to. More here on the Shout Out Show. Don't move. All right, we're back, everybody. Let me get into the shout out show family real quick. We want to give a shout out to Sister Ree. How you doing, Sister Ree? Assalamu alaikum. She says, hello, family. How you doing? Good to see you. Peace and blessings to you, and Brother Derek and Brother Juwan. My main man, Altaf Rashid, all the way from Toronto, Canada. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down, our Canadian envoy to the show. Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All right, please, peace and blessings. Thank you so much. And that's Mistano, Mr. Noise 7632. Hey, thank you, man. I need those blessings, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And we got my little brother, Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, tuning all the way in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. What's going on, brother? I already said at the top of the show, we can give a shout out to Sister Satana Whitfield. She is our executive producer of the show. She is handling one of the second biggest conference, Islamic conference, well, third in our community outside of a time to be grateful down in Houston. And so make sure we make the wall for her because she's trying to make that happen. Let me get into my Instagram family. Oh, we got some folks here today. We got 0421 Hassan. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bilal International, my beloved brother. Hopefully I see you in Houston, Aki. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We got Bilal, the researcher. That's Bilal Salahuddin and his queen, Sister Sonia Dalton Salahuddin. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We got Hajra Ilham. Okay, we got Jen 81760. We got Dr. Farouk. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Jen. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ruth Nasrullah, my dear sister. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And there we go. Bilal is already into it. He says the Epstein files will eliminate many. And we got MND00 join. Thank you so much. All right, what's going on, Bilal? There you go. Got you in the spot. People, Bilal says, this is one of my main guys. I have a core of folks, and then I have another core of folks. And this is brother been a day one. Imam Bilal Mustafa. Thank you so much, beloved. So let me get to this whole thing. American democracy, capitalism, socialism in some regards, fear one thing. They fear one thing. That is a black consciousness that could, in its infancy and I'm talking in full evolution, change history. You look at cultures, okay? You look at cultures of the oppressed. Paulo Freire, educator, had a book called Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and he talked about the idea of learned helplessness. That learned helplessness. We see something, but we don't have the capacity to act in a way, one or two ways. One, act effectively, or two, act publicly. So we tend to mute ourselves. In the history of America, the group that has never muted themselves um, it's not just African Americans. You also have to put women in there, and you also have to put you got to put LGBTQ in there, but they come after civil rights. So I don't necessarily put the two together. I can explain that in another show. I'm not going to do it now. But unique to American history is the idea that we don't study Pan Africanism. Pan Africanism is the ideology that Malcolm introduced, that the African American consciousness to, that we had an aligned struggle, that we just didn't show up here to America to be slaves, that colonialism has rotten fruit, and it bore rotten fruit here in the United States. That rotten fruit is called slavery. The difference is the rotten fruit that it bore was not the African Americans or the Africans that were brought here and put in the soil. The root, or I want to say that the rotten fruit that it bore was the mindset. Those who were complicit in slavery, those who were complicit in Jim Crow, those who were complicit in discrimination, understanding that, and this is a big one, understanding that a righteous spirit can't be, it can't be contained. We celebrate King for a level of bravery because it's easy to do so. It's easier to take an entire movement and put it on one person because that's strategic. If you talked about a civil rights day, if you talk about a human rights day or human rights week, you entice the body politic, you entice the body politic to look around and say, where are we right now? Right? You entice children to look around and go, I want to look at the condition of my parents. I can talk to my parents, and they can tell me where we are in juxtaposition to where we should be. That democracy, the Bill of Rights, the constitutions, do they have validity in terms of my personhood? Do they meaningfully help me express better versions of myself? Well, I'm in that group. Me and Bilal, JT, a couple of y'all, we're probably in that last group of folks who were born near the Civil Rights Act being approved, that it being signed, which meant that our parents could talk in a very vigorous way about what it was to have to go to a separate water fountain, a separate bathroom. My mom can tell me about protests in Danville, Virginia. She can tell me about, my aunt can tell me about the March on Washington. She's in the movie, the documentary Eyes on the Prize. They can expound on these things. And strategically now, the introduction of new history, right? The introduction of altered history in regards to Black struggle, Latino struggle, the validity of the poor, all those things are being held hostage so that those who can really paint the picture accurately, they move off. At late 70s, 80s, and 90s, time is their biggest issue. Do they have time? You know, and I thought about this when I was writing a joke about it. You have to understand, and I was watching if you get a chance, there's a documentary on Stax Records. It's on HBO Max, and they talk about the Stax Records out of Memphis, and they talk about Isaac Hayes and Sam and Dave, Otis Redding, and they talk about the racism that they dealt with. And Booker T from Booker T and the MGs talked about being with a very diverse group of musicians, blacks, whites. But he said after King was murdered in Memphis, he said he began to understand that while they were musicians, they didn't know what Black people really went through, right? That they didn't know what Black people really went through, what it was to be Black during that time in Memphis. For some of us, what it meant to be Black in Milwaukee or New Orleans or Chicago or DC. What does that really, really mean? And I came up with this joke. American democracy is sort of like the black man has a dollar and everybody else has a dollar. Now, you got a dollar, but you want to put that dollar in the bank, you want to save it, right? So the person, not the black, the non-black person can take that dollar and go to the bank because the bank is across the street. They can do their business, they get a receipt, they deposit the dollar, done deal. The black man with the black dollar he can't go across the street because there's no banks in his neighborhood. He has to get on a bus. So that dollar is not a dollar anymore because the bus costs 25 cents. So he's to get on the bus, he spent $25, he's got 75 cents. He's got to go around a neighborhood that doesn't want him. And just an opportunity cost, we're going to do that. But the opportunity cost, let's say it costs him a dime of his time. So now he goes from 75 cents to 65 cents. He gets there. He goes, well, I want to deposit a dollar. I don't have a dollar. And I don't have a dollar, but I need to make the deposit. But he goes, I can't even put in 65 cents because I need a quarter to go back around town because there's no dollar in my neighborhood. So that 65 cents is actually 40 cents by the time he gets home. 40 cents versus the dollar. That's how you get these things about the power of the dollar. So that black man's dollar is only worth 40 cents. The other person's dollar is worth $1. And then you go to the marketplace. Guess what? Let's say today, every black person, you had a dollar, but it's really 40 cents. Every Latino person, you had a dollar, it's 40 cents. Every poor person, you had a dollar, but it's 40 cents. You go to a marketplace, you want to get juice, and you go to the marketplace. You go to a place, you look at the sign, it says 99 cents store. You can't buy a damn thing because you only get 40 cents. That's Black life in America in a nutshell. The issue now is people beginning to wake up. My trepidation of being a comedian now is, there's too many scared comedians out there. Maybe the idea, as I pray and as many of you pray, Dick Gregory said something to me years ago. He says there'll be a time where you can't be a comedian. You got to be a legend. You got to be a hero. You got to be real. And he always asks the question, are you willing to lose it? Are you willing to lose it all? When I say lose it all, it means that when you lose it, other people may win. They may forget about you. You may not be in a history book. People may forget about you. They may ostracize you. He says, are you willing to do that? And my answer to you, as you watch the show, is yes. Yes. I learned from the fearless. My brother JT is on here. He's been on road trips with me. We worked some of the worst rooms in the world. I stood in front of white people I didn't know. People maybe didn't like me. I won't say white people, but understand you're a black man with some different ideas. They're not shucking and jiving jokes. I ain't calling myself the N-word. I ain't bucking and jiving, put my eyes out. I'm not doing that because I'm in this religious space that gives me personhood. This idea of faith creates, if you will, a safe space for me as an African-American man and a Muslim and a believer. So now there'll come a time where, and I understand Mr. Dick Gregory now, may Allah be pleased with him. There's a time when his activism was so ingrained to what he did on stage that people said he stopped being funny. And that's probably one of the most hurtful things I've heard, that Dick Gregory stopped being funny. No, he elevated to a position that we can't see. I've seen some comedy specials on Netflix, and everybody kind of, watch. I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to be slick. I'm trying to be intellectual, but you ain't making a dent. You're not making a dent. You can have 30,000 people in an arena, and the reading scores in the most destitute, poor parts of the city of the United States, the reading scores are continuing going down. Crime is going down. Illiteracy is up. You know, I watched a thing on Instagram, and it's just people assaulting one another, knocking each other out. That's the thing. People knock each other out. And you know what I saw was interesting? You know what I saw was interesting? I saw two white guys getting ready to fight. Oh boy, they're getting ready to tear each other up. But you know what I noticed? The prelude to the fight, the ramp up to the fight, when they got to calling each other names, you know what they called each other? Two white boys. You know what they called? Niggas. No, nigga, you go. I mean, he ain't even fighting a black guy. They're fighting each other. They're fighting each other. Which means even in the destruction, they still need to reference African American struggle and African American oppression. That's my point, brothers and sisters. Now, these white folks, some of these white folks, all of a sudden, they think my dollar is a 40-cent too. They think their dollar is 40 cents. They think because they saw us go through it somehow, I guess through transference or maybe like Star Trek, you know, they just flash ourselves in the black experience and then they take it over and then they go, yeah. Well, my dollar's worth 40 cents too. No, your dollar ain't worth 40 cents. It's worth $1. And if it's worth anything less than $1, it's because the people who gave it to you are taking it from you. So at this point, yeah, I want to shout out the MAGAs of the world because you got it right because you got it wrong. You got it right because you got it wrong. You see, the MAGAs of the world realize, and this might hurt some feelings, you're not worth 40 cents. You're not worth a dime. In your own communities, you're not worth anything. The people who came over from Europe, let's be real clear. They came over from Europe, they bought indentured servitude from Europe. They figured out a way to turn their own people into slaves. Think about this. Think about it. This was a part of their culture. You know, the sign off for slavery is really a Spanish pope. These are the things that I think everybody needs to know. So preach say, you know, what do we do? Preach, what do we do? All right. We build a bank in our neighborhood. I know it sounds like Black Wall Street, and it should. The people who did Black Wall Street were the innovators. They were, I want to say, possibly the most politically and financially astute folks that have ever been. That created out of all this abyss, all this abysmal behavior towards them. They created lifestyle. They created culture. You know, I'm doing an article about just the Muslim arts, culture, and lifestyle market, which is a $2 trillion market. Nobody understands what it. Nobody understands it. I'm taking my cue from my ancestors from Black Wall Street. I'm taking my cue from my ancestors in Durham, North Carolina. And you know what? I don't need to take a bus to where I'm not wanted. I don't need to go to a bank where people don't really want me outside for my money. We're better off holding on to our money and building ourselves and building our institutions, building our credibility, building our own respect towards one another than going over to a place. And you know, they'll take 40 cents from us and turn it into $4. Listen, let me shout out everybody. We got some folks on here. Sister Ruth. Thank you, Bilal. Big Samir out of Colorado. Assalamu alaikum. Shabana. Assalamu alaikum. Barakatuh. AK, my little brother. Think why here. What's going on, beloved? Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Imran Mukhtar. Assalamu alaikum. Sister Ruth. Thank you. Sweet Tooth and Cakes. I was at Sweet Tooth today, brother. Hey, Steve, I was at Sweet Tooth today. I'll call you later, man. But I had a good egg, cheese, and chicken sausage sandwich. Is amazing. And French fries. I shouldn't have the fries, but I did what I do. All right, so listen, we're gonna get out of here. Shout out to my sister right here, Sister Sonia. Salahuddin Doctor, what's going on, sister? Good to see you on the show. Listen, I hope you guys don't mind me expanding, but some things are gonna be coming down the way. Some of them funny, most of them are funny, but a lot of them are gonna be absolutely necessary. This is our time. My name is Preacher Moss. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Think it ain't illegal yet. Take care now.